Hello, everybody. We are live here. This is Real Estate Talk TGIF. Thank God it's finale. I know it's Friday, but it's also finale. So we take advantage of the F. So many ways. So today, thanks for coming on with us, and we'll have some people on in a few minutes. I don't wait. I move forward because people like to look at this later on. So we are today with Rebecca Mountain of Burlington, Ontario, Canada. And we are talking about leads. There we go. We are here. You are there. This is Rebecca. Welcome again, Rebecca.
This is me.
We heard what you had to say. So let's talk about, I mean, your experience is amazing. I saw you speak at the Eastern Bergen County Board of Realtors luncheon or something a few years ago.
Yep.
We met and we had a little back and forth with the mic and stuff about Facebook ads and stuff, and it was above people's heads. But now, whether we're above people's heads or not, I really don't care. We're talking about something having to do with leads, and everybody thinks about that word funnel, right? Where the funnel is, everything comes down here, and everybody wants the today leads, the now leads. They want to work with them. I look at the funnel a little bit differently, and I know you do. And what I look at it is, I look at the funnel, like at the bottom of it, this area, it's all got holes in it.
Yeah.
When it gets down to the bottom as a now lead, and everything else creaks out because everybody forgets about those other things that are in the funnel. You don't realize that those are 3 to 6 to 18 months down the line. So talk to me about what you believe about funnels, what you think about funnels, and the lead funnel and conversion stuff. So go ahead.
Sure. So the traditional funnel is just like, as you described, you get a whole bunch of leads at the top, you execute some marketing strategies, some sales strategies, and customers pop out the bottom. But the problem with that funnel, and it's starting to really show a lot of cracks, is that the problem there's nothing in the system for what to do once they've popped out the bottom. And especially in real estate, where it's very transaction orientated, it's very easy just to kind of go, plop, deal with it, but not have any kind of recurring program. And anyone who knows anything about business knows that it's way cheaper, like thousands of percentages cheaper, to get more business from someone you've already worked with, whether it's directly with them or through their sphere, than it is to acquire a brand new client. Like, so with lead generation, so I'll use Facebook lead generation specifically, because that's what I've done for the past, certainly for the past 5 years in helping realtors generate leads. You get a ton of them, and I can get lots of really great leads and phone numbers and names and stuff like that. But the quality of those people, you have to sift through so many tire kickers in order to get that one little pot of gold. And if you don't have a really good marketing and sales system, you might even miss that one good lead because you didn't get to them fast enough, because you had too many people in, that you were kind of working through. And by the time you got to them, another realtor snapped them up. So there's a whole bunch of reasons as to why traditional lead generation systems don't work. The traditional funnel where you have that leads and the sales process that actually works for the giant number of leads coming through is when you have a dedicated ISA, an inside sales agent, and they just hammer those calls nonstop because you stay on top of them, right? Most people, most agents, most teams even don't have that kind of perspective. So the new thing, and I've got my little whiteboard here that I can sort of show you and define it a little bit more clearly, is what's called the flywheel. And this is something that Amazon started using back in 2012. When they were still considered a joke. So I saw an interview with Jeff Bezos, and he was like, they were calling him Amazon.toast, Amazon.crap, and really not giving them the time of day, thinking, Walmart's going to crush them. They're just going to price them out of their business. And as we all can well see, that didn't exactly happen. And it happened because, think whatever you want of Jeff Bezos. This is not, I love Jeff Bezos or anything like that.
Yeah.
It's simply that he had the perspective of, it doesn't matter what my competitors are doing because they're not giving me any money. The people who are giving me money are the people that are coming to my website. So with real estate, people who are coming to you for questions, that even if they're not ready to buy or sell, they're coming to you, and now you have an opportunity to influence them. And especially once they fall out the end of that funnel and do become your client, that is your great opportunity to execute what he defined as a flywheel. And I'll define the flywheel in just a second. But the basic purpose of the flywheel is to use the people in your database as your lead generators. So instead of worrying about how to run a Facebook ad, you worry about how do I get my people to talk about me on Facebook? How do I get them to talk about me at a party? How do I get them to feel special so that there's no one else in the world they would entrust their biggest asset with other than me, right? And so it's that creating that amazing experience. So since then, companies like HubSpot have adopted it, Airbnb is using it, Uber is using it. A lot of the big tech firms are using it in different ways, and sometimes they even like split it out so different parts of the organization have their own flywheels. And it's an absolutely fascinating process. So what it does is you can still use the traditional funnel because there's a portion of it, and I'll just draw this in a second, that requires you to still kind of feed the beast. But I can share with you some really cool things that I've been doing that are totally unrelated to Facebook ads. So if you don't like doing Facebook ads, then like this is your lucky day.
Cool.
So I'm just going to take these off. Still hear me?
Yep, we can hear you.
Is that still good?
Yep, still good.
Okay, good. So I'm just going to angle this way.
That's good.
You can see that. Okay, so the flywheel is basically, you have three portions. The first one is attract, okay? And this is your traditional funnel, right? So your traditional funnel kind of comes in here. Can you see that? Do you want me to bring it closer?
Yeah, bring it a little closer if you can.
Yep.
That's great.
There we go. So it doesn't matter if it cuts off my head. I want to make sure you guys see this. So this is your traditional funnel. You have your leads, they come down, and then they plop into, your attract. So this is where, you try to get this is where you bring new people in. However, you don't need to only rely on Facebook advertising. So there's a couple of new things I'll talk about in here that work extremely well. So once you have them in here, then your flywheel starts to move. And at this point, you have what's called engaged. So this is where, your email marketing would come in, you're keeping in touch with them on Facebook, sending them information. So one of the things you can get, which is really, really cool, is stuff called private label rights. Have you ever heard of private label rights stuff?
Private label rights, yes.
Private label rights, yeah. So the cool thing about private label rights is that it's stuff that has already been written that you can go buy, repurpose as your own, put your brand on it, and then send out to your clients. So if you type in PLR real estate, you're going to get all these PLR sites where you can go, you can buy ebooks, checklists, courses, videos, and all this other kind of stuff that you can repurpose and send to people as part of your engagement strategy. You can create like a Facebook group where you invite just your clients to participate in, sort of backdoor conversations. It's exclusive. It's exciting. It's, something they can literally tell their friends, like, hey, like my realtor, stays in touch with me and he's really, really awesome. But the idea of engagement is generating conversations. So where Facebook comes in here in a big, big way. So I don't know I think you follow Frank Kern and his all intent-based branding, right? Yes. The whole idea of live videos is incredibly powerful. What you're doing right now for your people by doing this podcast is the engage portion. You're bringing in other people, you're bringing in new knowledge, you're sharing your own knowledge, you're doing it live, you're pushing it out there, and you're engaging people in real-time conversations, right? People are commenting now, they'll comment a little bit later, but this is really, really key. So by the end of 2019, nearly all of the content on Facebook news feeds is going to be video. So if you're not doing video right now, you're going to be left behind. It's like, bye. And you're going to have to pay big bucks to get in that space of people's news feeds.
So we've heard this. I mean, I've heard this for a long time, right? Mm-hmm. And how are you going to be left behind? I mean, they're just not going to show what you put up. You're going to be irrelevant.
It's not even going to show. So the stuff goes into your newsfeed if Facebook deems it to be relevant to you. But it also knows that people are going to leave Facebook if they're not engaging with the content on Facebook. And so what they do is they look at what content types are the most engaging. And the most engaging content types, being Facebook Live, are the ones that get the highest weight. So there's a weighting system that Facebook allots. So a link is, say for instance, if a live video is worth 100 points, a link post would be worth maybe 5. So in terms of the number of people who see it, in terms of how well your ad would do if you boost it, and so on and so forth, a live video is just going to do so much better because Facebook knows it's the one that generates the most engagement, and the only way people are going to use Facebook is if they are engaged with the program, with the platform, and so that's why they do it. So it's not that you can still boost your content, it's just going to be, you're not going to get as much reach per dollar than if you did a live video and boosted that instead.
Does the algorithm the rank that you have with Facebook because of the interaction that you get mean anything, and will it mean anything later if you don't have video?
Yep, absolutely. So the performance of your, I just taught this course yesterday actually. The algorithm is made up of 5 key pieces, like 5 key categories. Now there's 100,000 pieces of information that get analyzed. Sure. The first one is interest. So how interested are people in you? How many of your friends like your page? How many people comment on, with you on your personal side? So, and it's also what you're posting interesting to those people, like based on what they do and their behavior online, is that something they'd be interested in, right? Like I'm interested in real estate, but I'm not interested in golf. So if you post about golf and real estate on the same day, I will see your real estate post, but I will not see your golf post, right? The other 2 are called post and creator. And these are based on your past, on all the stuff you've posted historically. Did people watch your videos? Did they hover for a long period of time? So as soon as you start scrolling, so say you're on Facebook and you stop and you start watching a video or you're reading like a quote or whatever, Facebook is timing you and saying, how long are you doing that? And they're feeding that back to the page to say people are interested, people are not interested. So what you've done in the past affects your present and it affects your future.
Great. So let me ask you another question having to do with the same topic. What about if you're posting memes or like your question, like for instance, okay. So I posted something that was silly I got from a friend of mine. It says it was a photograph, an image of 6 condiments. It says, which condiment would you eliminate? And it gets a lot of interaction. Does that help you?
Yep, absolutely.
Cool.
Absolutely, it helps you because it's engaging.
I'm glad it does because I've been coaching and teaching that for a while.
Yeah, like you can do a poll on what's your favorite flavor of ice cream.
Right. And
as a realtor, it's funny because like a friend of mine, she lives in a smaller community, and there's this really not a famous but like locally famous ice cream store. So you can say it's called Hewitt's. What's your favorite flavor of Hewitt's ice cream? And as a realtor, you are getting engagement, but you're also showing yourself as being a local participant, right? So you're with the market. You know Hewitt's. You know the history. And people will be like, oh, you do know my area. And so they will be more inclined to choose you. Like a lot of people will choose a realtor because they know the neighborhood, right? And so the more you can cement that in people's mind through little silly things like polls and little questions and memes like that, like that's fine. I do that all the time.
So I want everybody to listen to what I'm about to say because I'm going to repeat what Rebecca just said. People will use you because you know the area or neighborhood. So when I tell people to go out and do local videos, do a video at a park, interview a shop owner, that kind of thing. Like Gary Vee always says, become the mayor of your market, right? Yeah. That's what he means. It's not to be, be political. He means go out there and get known. And what that's going to help you do is be omnipresent in your area.
Yeah.
So more about the flywheel.
Okay. All right, so I like to stop at the engage because usually people won't listen to the rest of my presentation if they're like, what does engage mean? And so that's basically what it means, right? So reach out. Okay, so this is the part that everyone screws up. And it goes, so the flywheel goes around and it's called, actually the light, right? So this is the third the third aspect. And delight, I'll just sit down again so it's easier. So delight is where you make people feel super special, right? And you make them feel like there's no one else in the world more important than them. So for instance, this is something that that I promote hugely. I'm coming out with a product later on this year. There are other companies out there already. So there's one called Client Giant. And what they do is they have a series of different services, but let me just focus on one. It's called Top of Mind. The Top of Mind service sends what I call lumpy marketing packages to people 4 times a year. And it's seasonal, but it's not like on their birthday or on their anniversary. When they're inundated with stuff already and your stuff doesn't make a splash, right? So it'll be like the middle of February, middle of May, beginning of September, and maybe November, right? And I'll show you an example of one that I got. Hang on, I'm coming. He's old. There we go.
By the way, guys, if you have any questions, just put them in the comments. I'm getting better at looking at the comments, and so let's just rock. So keep going. Go ahead.
Yeah. So this is one of the things that I got because I got put into one of these programs. It's a little mug and it says this might be wine. Now this was actually the guy who sent this to me had a whole bunch of different options to choose from, and with a little bit of searching and also a little bit of knowing me because I like wine, is he gave me this, and I got this in the middle of September. And the thing is, I knew I was getting this, and because he said, I'm testing out this Top of Mind program, I'm putting you on it, I want to know what the experience is like. So he was testing it with me before he rolled it out to his clients. So even though I knew this was coming, when I got it in the mail, I'm like, oh, this is great. And what do you think people do when they feel special and delighted and important?
Tell everybody.
Get on here, they take a picture, look what my realtor sent me. Haha, my realtor's better than yours. And you do this 4 times a year. So spring might be an umbrella. Summer might be like a barbecue brush that always wear out, like everybody does. But there's something really interesting about these, and it cannot be, I cannot impress upon people the importance of this particular point. If you're going to do this, do not put your name on it. Nowhere on this thing is the guy's logo, because I don't want to see his face. I mean, I like him and all. But I don't need to see his face when I'm drinking my tea in the morning, right? And so the barbecue brush doesn't have the realtor's name on it. It has maybe their name on it, right? The Smith's barbecue brush of awesomeness, right? Get a cheese board with their name, on it.
You do realize that this goes against everything that every realtor has been taught. Put your name on everything. This way, when they're cleaning that barbecue, they see your name. It's like I guarantee you they could sell toilet paper with their name on it. When they're wiping it, they'll see their name. I know it sounds silly and stupid and gross, but shit, think about it.
Yeah, absolutely.
But it makes so much more sense.
Yeah, well, you feel like, okay, so I have a company that does my SEO, and I love them. They're friends of mine. I've been working with them for years, and they do an amazing job. But when they send me stuff, it's got their name on it. I have no inclination to wear it. I don't.
Right.
Because it's not mine. But if it said, Mountain Incorporated, or the Mountain Girl or whatever, because my last name is Mountain, I'd be like, that's so cool. It's got my name on it. Right? I stick it on my head, and everyone's like, where'd you get that hat? And I'm like, funny you should ask. Right? These are called, they're like talk triggers, right? It's a great book by Jay Baer called Talk Triggers. Everyone needs to go read it. It is a fantastic book because everything in the future of marketing is based on getting people to talk about you. Your brand is not what you say, it's what everyone else says. And I've taught that since forever, but more so now than ever. There is no trust in the news. There is no trust in politicians. There is no trust in the marketing that people are seeing in many cases. So who do they trust? They trust the people around them, right? So you need to figure out how to do that. And with the delight things, those are the things that will make people really feel special. I don't feel special because you give me a mug with your name on it. It's a Debbie Downer, right? I feel way more special. So, because say for instance, you do a little bit of research and you find out I love to read. right? So there's this is a book, you and I were just talking about exactly what to say. A lot of people screw up sales calls because they don't get people into that mindset of saying yes, right? And maybe, you send me some books. So the Client Giant program goes a step further, and they actually have a process for like during the sales process. So say, actually, let's do the selling process. There are little gifts along the way that alleviate a particular point of pain. So say a week before the move date, you get a box with like moving boxes and tape and stickers and, pizza coupons and water bottles. It is your sort of like your prep package for moving. It's a delight option that people never expected, doesn't have your name on it, comes with a little note saying like who it's from. But they're like, how did you know I needed that? Well, it's because as realtors, you guys go through this again and again and again with your clients. You know where they often need some help. And it's not in setting their sales price for their home. That's one thing, but that's not going to get you the client to repeat with you or to refer you. No one's going to say, well, my realtor did a really good job of setting the house price, so therefore, I'm going to use them again. That might be somewhere in their, muddled mind of what happened. But what really makes them feel special and accentuates that whole ability for the realtor to do all the things that need to be done to get the home sold that are so important, pricing, staging, and photography, etc., is those, and you feel special, and you feel thought of. So you can get actually a platinum package where at the end of the process, they will take you out for dinner. So the realtor will send you a car, you get to pick out where you want to go for dinner, all expenses paid, alcohol included, and then they bring you home. That's part of the package. So for like clients who are really special to you, maybe they've referred you a bunch of times, maybe it's a really expensive house or something, I would go for the big referrer clients and just say, I love you so much, right?
Right. It's funny. All of this has everything. I mean, I didn't mean to leave it on the board, but it's behind me. WIIFM.
Oh yeah.
And everybody sees what that means. It means I don't know if you can see it, but it means what's in it for me. And it's warm and fuzzy is what's in it for the client. And they're getting it, and it made it feel great. Oh, by the way, everybody, if you see me moving my head to this side, I'm actually taking notes. So I'm not being rude. I'm actually taking notes.
I'm not boring you yet. We're still.
No, this is excellent stuff. This is great stuff. I try to bring on interesting people and things that are going to aid the agents, and that's why it's called Real Estate Talk. It's for real estate agents. It's not. I mean, the public will watch it, and that's cool. No problem with that. But this is to help everybody out there. And that's what it's for. So the idea of this flywheel is amazing, simply because I've always talked about your leads are in thirds, right? Yeah. People are going to buy between now and 3 months, 3 to 6 months, or 3 to 18 months, and then 3 to 24 months, something like that. I got myself mixed up. And in those thirds, you've got, I'm sorry, 3 to 6 months, 3 to 24 months, and never. Those are your thirds.
Yep.
The last third, even though those people, I mean, you might be delighting them with emails. You may have never connected with them, but you're delighting them with something because you might get a blind referral. But the other ones, you keep in touch with them. You're not only going to get their business, but if you do things the right way, you're going to get other business because they're going to tell people about you. You've been amazing that you've kept in touch with them.
Yep, absolutely. So the other piece of this, so this is just a really nice graph, but it's not the actual flywheel yet because you actually have to make it spin. So the whole idea of this, when HubSpot did it, if you go to YouTube, you'll see there they did an actual presentation on the flywheel. So it's like 20 minutes long, but if this whole concept is new to you, it's a really great explanation of how it works. It was at their Inbound 2018 just recently. So the CEO, I think his name is Hugh, went through the process. So in order to make this spin, there are two elements you have to be aware of. So the first one is force, and the second one is friction. Okay, so force is what makes this beautiful thing go down. So force would be the top of mind program that you're putting in the delight, because that just, it attracts new people, which then you engage, and then you delight them, which attracts more people, which you engage, and then delight them. And you see it just gets bigger. And in the middle, you have growth, right? So this is where your growth comes from. Part of it can come from the original funnel, like, because there are opportunities for you to, if you want to, run Facebook ads or, go to open houses and get new leads. So it's not that you should eschew those things necessarily. Those are still valuable.
Right.
But that's not where your driver of business should be. So force is anything that makes it go around. And for anyone out there who's like into coaching, or even if you're a realtor, you can use this. So I've got a monthly program that I'm launching this afternoon. It's just like, a 2-hour call with me. It's live. Obviously, it'll be recorded. People can't make it, and a bunch of other goodies and whatnot. But I wanted to use force to get new people, to attract new people without running a Facebook ad. So there's a system out there called UpViral. And what happens is when you sign up for my monthly program, you're going to get a unique link. And when you share that link on social media, email, billboards, whatever, you can tattoo it on yourself if you really want to, which would be lovely. And 3 people sign up because they use that link, you get a free month. So it's the ability, and again, the only reason people will share that link if I am providing really good content. So the onus is still on me to share good content to make people want to share this sucker, right? So I have to do the delighting and then the engaging in a big way so that I can attract new people, but I'm not actually paying a red penny for doing this. Now, this is a system that Airbnb used, Gmail used, Uber used. Who else used it? All the big viral. Dropbox was a huge one. I don't know if you remember Dropbox way back when, but when you got Dropbox, they gave you a link. They're like, share this with your friends, and then you can get more space.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, I did it.
So did I. And that's how they got so big. They used the system of virality to drive up the people that were going to be new customers for them. And so the idea with the flywheel, and this is really, really key. This is why one-on-one consulting fails miserably. With every new person that comes into this flywheel, the experience gets better. So let's look at Amazon as an example. So they get new clients, which have so they have people there. There's lots of selection, which, because there's lots of selection, encourages new sellers to come in, which then attracts more people, which then increases the selection, which then attracts new sellers, which then attracts more people, and around and around and around it goes, so that every single iteration, so every new time someone comes to Amazon, the experience is actually better. You've got a flywheel totally backwards or screwed up if while you're bringing people in, the experience gets worse. So I did one-on-one consulting way at the beginning of my running my own business, and it failed because I ran out of time, right? I can't do it because I'm out of time. And so with every new person I added, my availability dropped.
Right.
Or the people I had before. So it was a worse experience. And that's why this will never work with one-on-one consulting. But it works brilliantly with membership models. So like the monthly program that I'm talking about, it can work pretty well with anything. The whole idea is that it's a reward system. Okay, so if someone does something, there's like a point system you can set up within UpViral. So you determine like what the thresholds are. But once achieved, then there's some sort of a bonus. So they could get, again, access to a training course. And if you don't have a training course, PLR Real Estate, they have them. You don't have to invent it. It's already there. And you can just buy it from them, repurpose it, maybe re-record it for yourself, but you don't have to come up with the actual curriculum yourself, right?
That's amazing.
So you can have like all these different things that, depending on how many points people get, they keep sort of adding to the repertoire of the really helpful information that they get from you. And that's the delight part, which then makes them talk about you, which attracts more people, which your job is to engage them, and so on. So that's the force part. I like that part.
What about the friction part?
Sorry, what were you saying?
Friction.
Friction. So this is, if I haven't sort of completely blown everything out of the water of how everyone does stuff in the past, I'm about to do it even more. So good. I apologize in advance. You said you wanted new stuff. So this is new stuff. So friction, which is this bad boy here, is reducing the friction. So this is increasing with force and you decrease friction. Friction is how long or how many steps does it take to go from where they are now as prospects to what you want them to be, which is clients, right? So for instance, for me, for my mastermind, I need to talk to people first. So I want people to schedule a call with me. So to do that, I want to make sure that it's worth everybody's time and it's the right kind of people. So I will send them over to a website, which then has a little application so that people have to answer certain questions. Because if people aren't interested, if they don't answer the questions, they're not right for me, right? So for me, I am not having to. So a friction example or counterexample to that one would be, someone wants to book my mastermind, they send me an email. I then get back to them, say, are you available here? If they say no, what about this? And I say, well, no, that doesn't work for me. I mean, and on and on and on. No friction is like a scheduling tool. Like I think you schedule once, I use Appointment Core. You want to talk to me? Here we go. Click that button, and then the process starts. That's reducing friction. And I can't remember if it was a HubSpot guy or Jeff Bezos who was talking about it. Right now, 80% of the work is done by humans and about 20% is done by technology. Where everything is going, 2019, 2020 and forward, is that model has to flip. Where 80% of the interactions are done online or through technology, like appointment cores, like great client dashboards and stuff like that. And the 20% is actually done by humans. The real complex stuff, the logic-based stuff, problem solving, where someone needs to step in and give you a hand, right? But 80% of what you do should be actually taken care of by technology. And real estate has been a tough one with technology because there's lots of firms who try to be sort of the tech leaders, but they don't really do very well. A lot of them go belly up pretty quick. So in the real estate world, when you're looking at friction and how do you reduce friction, how can you make it easier for people to book a call with you? So that would be like a schedule once. Right. That's a way to reduce friction. So anywhere, when you look in your sales process, so map out all the different steps, how hard is it for people to go from one step to the other? And can you use technology to smooth the path? It could be like in the process during buying and selling that, you spend a lot of time back and forth communicating and updating your clients. Well, what if there was a client login, with a dashboard where you have an open house, you do a short video, you post it in the in your little client login area, so they can even see it in real time. Like you could be doing a live video stream that your clients are watching as you do their open house or whatever, so that you reduce the friction and you reduce the time you're spending going back and forth on something that just really is wasting everyone's time. So that's the friction part. Force makes this thing go round. Reducing friction improves the interaction and the experience people have, and it leads to incremental growth.
So in other words, if you take the old ways of pounding the leads and pounding them and calling them and calling them and calling them, and reduce that by getting micro commitments a little bit at a time, micro commitments are going to reduce the friction.
Yes, absolutely. And I call it step laddering. So I have a little guy, he's not little anymore, he's as tall as I am, he's 12 now, but he has anxiety disorder. And when he was in grade 2, he couldn't go to gym class because it just, for whatever reason, gym class, it created massive panic for him. And with his teacher for 4 years, I worked with him or with the teacher, which is a lady, we said, okay, at least sit outside the door and then sit inside the door and then bounce a ball inside the door, then bounce a ball inside the door with a friend. And over 4 years, we were able to get him past those fears, but he would never been able to do that in one leap. So just like your point of the micro commitments, just like in this book where all the way through your sales conversation, you're making little micro commitments for them. They're saying yes, they're agreeing with you, they're in the right mindset. So too will friction, reducing the friction and creating those little opportunities, make them feel like this is exactly where they want to be, right?
Awesome. This has been amazing. Thank you so much for coming on. I'd like you to talk about things you've got going on
Sure.
people would be interested in. So, do it.
Okay. So I've got a bunch of stuff in the hopper, but this afternoon, like I said, I've got to shoot one more video, and then I'm going to be launching. It's called Ignite Your Fire, and the whole idea is on the premise that we don't take action because we tell ourselves stories about ourselves, about our competitors that actually stop us. It's not that we don't have the intelligence. It's not that we don't have the drive, the ambition, and all that kind of a thing. It is that we tell ourselves a story and we shrink the ambition to the level of our fears, right? So you always know when you're leaving your comfort zone. I feel like almost like I'm vibrating. I'm like, something feels weird. And so it's $7 a month Canadian. So in American dollars, it's like $3. And I don't even charge you guys tax. How about that? But the idea is that it's a 2-hour monthly call live with me, book reviews. I've got free training resources. So I didn't really get into it, but there's a whole, that intent-based branding stuff that Frank Kern talks about. I teach that because Frank taught me, and now I teach that as well. So I've got that as part of the bonus content. And the idea is that people who join this are ones that really want to step past what's holding them back and reframe those stories to achieve what they know that they can, right? So for a lot of people, they are stuck at 6 figures and they know they can get to 7, but no matter how hard they try, it's push back, push back, push back, and they never get there. So it's helping people understand why that's happening and then giving them business strategies, talking about flywheels, talking about different models you can use. So for instance, this one that I'm talking about now is a membership-based model, but there might be a group coaching model, which is the other thing that I'm launching as well. But again, it's a whole bunch of opportunities for people to reframe the stories. And once you've changed your mind and you've given yourself newfound hope, now and what do you do? Because I always find that's kind of missing in a lot of those mindset kind of training programs is like, well then, and now how do I turn that into, more money for me, a better life personally, more involvement in my community or stuff like that. So that's the monthly mastermind. It's called Ignite Your Fire and it launches this afternoon. I am in the process right now. I'm beta testing a 12-week coaching program, which is a little bit more systematic. So every week there's a new lesson and it starts off with like defining your why and then goes to who needs you, how to turn that into an offer. We talk about different marketing strategies you can use for that. We talk about how these stories are playing into your what's having you stuck or holding you back from achieving what your ambition truly has sort of laid out for you. So that one's a combination of pre-recorded lessons with me and also live facilitation calls, and it's on a weekly program. So that one is called Life on Fire. Everything is about fire and about Art Spark. So those are the 2 things I do, and I have a mastermind. I've mentioned that before. So we meet 3 times a year. That's for an elite group of people who are really intent on making some gigantic leaps forward. It is like my favorite thing to do. And then on a smaller scale, for people who are in that program, if they say, well, I don't want to be a Facebook expert, do you know someone who can help me? I have an agency that I use for those people.
So those programs, how do people find out about them? How do they sign up for them? What do they got to do? So
I'm rebuilding my website. Eventually, you'll be able to go to RebeccaMountain.ca. So you can go there now and you can apply for my mastermind. So you can do that right now. My 12-week course is in beta, so it hasn't launched yet. So that'll be end of March. But my $7 mastermind, I am going to be promoting it on my business page, which again is Rebecca Mountain Incorporated. If you go there, again, I'll be making an announcement today. You can sign up for my newsletter, same place, and that's how you'll get the first easy access. And again, that's the one, the $7 mastermind is the one I'm using the up viral for. That whole idea of if you share it with 3 people that sign up on your link, you get the whole month free. If you sign 6 people up through your link, you get 2 months free, right? And that's just kind of how we roll here in these places.
So what was the name of the first one you talked about? Is that involved in that stuff you just said too, or no?
Yeah, Ignite Your Fire. So Ignite Your Fire is a $7 mastermind. That's one that's launching today.
Okay.
The 12-week program is going to be coming out at the end of March, but I'll let you know.
Awesome. Now I want to thank you so much. Again, taking more notes. I want to thank you so much for being on. And as everybody now that's, we got into the new year, as a guest, gets one of these fine real estate skill builder hats.
Yay!
And we're going to be sending this to you as a thank you for being on the show, as Gary Vee used to say. And thanks so much for coming on. I want to let everybody know, if you'd like to have a communication or conversation with me about stuff, go to reskillbuilder.com, and you can schedule some time to talk to me. And over the next month or so, we've got some great people coming up. Next week, we're going to be on location in Miami, Florida, and because we're going to be at Agent 2021 next Thursday, which is Gary Vaynerchuk's one-day conference for realtors and insurance people and mortgage people and all kinds of stuff. Going to have some great people down there they're going to see. So I'm not sure if I'm going to have a guest or it's just going to be me pontificating for a few minutes. But after that, we've got Sarah Kalki from Canada coming on. We've got Sean Ziem. We've got Chelsea Pites. We've got Katie Lance coming on. We've got Lee Thomas Brown coming on in the future as well. So we've got some great guests all lined up for Real Estate Talk TGIF. This has been Rebecca Mountain. Thank you so much for coming on. Please stay on once we disconnect. And anybody has any questions or wants to replay, this is going to be on my page and also other places. You'll be able to see this replay. And if there's any questions or things, I want to say hello to, we might not be on anymore, Ron Krause, Karen DeMarco, of course, Chelsea Lawrence, and I saw Anthony on here before. Thanks so much for being on. Thanks so much for your time. And I hope this had great value, because it's got great value to me. So I'm a little nuts. So Rebecca, any final thoughts from you?
No, just again, thank you so much for having me. And if anybody has any questions directly for me, of course, you can find me on my page. I'm really easy to find, just Rebecca Mountain. And I'm more than happy to answer any questions anyone has about the flywheel or about force and friction or, where marketing is going. It's kind of my passion.
Awesome. Thanks so much, everybody, for watching. Thank you, Rebecca. We'll see you next week.